Turf Business TV welcomes Karl Prescott, the head grounds manager at Aston Villa today. Karl, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you for inviting me on.
I wanted to catch up with you because I think you've not had a high profile in the industry, but I think people recognise that you're doing a great job up there. And we'll come on to that in a bit. But if we can just start thinking about talking about how you first got into grounds care. Where did it all begin for you?
One thing I did sort of pick up on was the fact that I really liked being outside. Found a real comfort just in being outdoors, doing something that you could see a result from constantly. As daft as it sounds, doing your own few little stripes in it and, sort of bedding and hanging baskets. And I took then a real interest into like horticultural side, even down to growing vegetables, things like that. So once I left school, I ended up coming into just a period of reflection, and I was a bit lost. And then I thought to myself, right, okay, I'm going to do something, and I want it outside. So I ended up going as a YTS in the end. It was a day release course, and I ended up managing to get a position at Lilleshall, the National Sports Centre. And I was there then for roughly 4 years. Completely enjoyed it, loved every minute of it, because there was the whole aspect of the horticultural side as well as the turf culture side. At the time, they were still the national excellence centre for the England national team. So the likes of Michael Owen was still there. You were around them on international breaks. We'd got the rugby there, England cricket, women's hockey. It was the real hub of the international scene, and that really sort of set me going in terms of where I wanted to be. Managed to gain qualifications then up to MBQ management level of horticulture and turf culture. But then I realised that it was more the turf side of it that I wanted to get into. So I ended up, I didn't really, I probably should have stayed having looked at it. But I bit the bullet and I went off to work at a school, a local school in Telford where I lived at the time. And I'd made a bit of a mistake, if you like. I should have stayed at Lilleshall because things were progressing, if you like. It made me realise then, though, that it was the football side that I wanted to get back into. And then that's when the opportunity came of moving to Aston Villa.
So what was it about turf and football that attracted you?
I've always liked football and I've always played it. To a fairly decent, well, I think a fairly decent standard anyway. But it was the fact of what you produce then is seen by so many. And you get that recognition of the hard work and everything that goes into it. You've got something there to show for it at the end of the day.
So you arrive at Villa. What was the role there?
The role there originally was just, we was a team of three, and I was just a grounds person up at Bodymoor Heath. Worked under Steve Harker, who was up there at the time. Great bloke. The other guy that was there as well was Graham Farmer. We had a real tight-knit little team. There's only the three of us. We'd got probably about 6, say, full-size pitches that we looked after between the three of us, because the training grounds now have expanded massively from those days. But we did the best of what we could at the time with the materials that we had and everything else. And that was, like I say, in 2001. Moved there then. And then in 2008, there was a bit of a change around at the club. Jonathan Calderwood, he was here for a couple of years previously, but then he was taken on by the club as a grounds manager over both sides. And I'd done 7 years then at the training ground, and I just felt my time had sort of, I needed that little extra edge to push myself on that little bit more. And then that's when I asked if I could, there was a petition coming up here at Villa Park. And I asked, if there was a possibility of myself moving down here and sort of furthering my career in that regard.
Jonathan moved on. Is that when you stepped up, or was there places in between that?
I'm not sure on the dates, if I'm honest, but I think Paul was here for, I think he started around 2008 with myself, and then there was myself, Paul and John. But Paul then stepped up into Jonathan's role. And I think Paul was probably in the role for 3, maybe 4 years, I think, something like that. Then Paul left in 2016. And I think, we've been one of them fortunate departments, if you like. The club have allowed you to progress with the department as well. And, I put myself forward. I felt I'd learned a hell of a lot, if you like, under Jonathan and Paul moving forward in terms of presentation and the way that you should go about the daily tasks of looking after such a high profile pitch, if you like. And thankfully enough, the club were more than willing to give me the chance, and here I still am, thankfully 5 years on.
So you're doing something right there. That transition from one of the team to the man who's now got the responsibility on his shoulders, did you find that relatively easy? Did you get much support?
I think because particularly before I became the manager here, I had got sort of a fair amount of input into what was happening anyway. And then it just sort of just fell into place. There was nothing that really fazed me, if you like, because we'd done it, we dealt with it. We'd sort of, just moved on fairly normal, if you like. I mean, the big thing from me was that, I got two great guys behind me then. And we were 3 staff. Paul had moved on. Ian Hirkis and Matt Jupp, they were fantastic lads to have behind you. You always look out for you, and weren't scared of putting a shift in, which in this industry is paramount.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially when it's such a small team, and we'll come a bit more onto that later on, I think. Karl, so you take the step up. You kind of found that a relatively straightforward transition in terms of what you were doing with the caring for the surfaces, or the surface, because it's the stadium you're looking after. Did you make any big changes, or did you kind of continue the good work that had been done?
No, I think that, and others would probably relate to this anyway. Is you always sort of have that bit of you want to put your own spin on it. Yes, there was the transition of Jonathan to Paul. A lot of things stayed the same. I kept things relatively the same as well. But there was other things that you sort of tweak, whether it might be the use of the lighting rigs, maybe less so than we used to, just to try and sort of see if you get a more positive result from the lights, if you like. Various feeds. We went a little bit more sort of liquid feed, if you like, than the granulars. Just sort of tweaking a few things, if you like. I mean, the pitch at that point as well, when I took over, was 10 years old. So we were coming to the end of the life of the Grassmaster. We were trying to obviously push for a new pitch for a number of years. Fortunately, because of the scenario the club was in at the time, should have resulted in relegation from the Premier League. Obviously, money was tight. Redundancies were made, and we had at that time as well won Premier League Pitch of the Year.
Didn't you then win the following season the Championship pitch or Division 1, whatever it was called back then?
Yeah, which made it even more difficult, if you like.
So, what pitch did you go for? Was it another Grassmaster or?
Yeah, it was another Grassmaster. We just felt that that's what we had previously. We'd had no real issues with it other than the age of it. Obviously now since we've done that, there's various other companies that are out there with similar products on the market. But again, I think because of how meticulous we are, we kept a good eye on them during construction, made sure it was done properly. We had no qualms at all with Hewitt Sports Turf. They were the constructors of the surface. But in terms of the actual, stitching of the surface, we made sure it was right because, at the end of the day, we're the ones that's left with it.
Yeah, you'll carry the can.
Yeah.
You mentioned lighting. I think when we were talking previously, I'm aware that you'd like to update the lighting as it stands at the moment because you're still working on some relatively old technology now because lighting's moving at a pace all the time. But you've been playing about with UV, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, the club have been really good in terms of trying to let me upgrade a few things since I've come into the role. Majority of the lighting units that we have here are 600 watt units. Probably the only Premier League now to still have 600 watt units. A lot of that comes down to just the power in the stadium. We just haven't got the power capacity, if you like, to have a full upgrade at the moment. It's Villa Park, it's an old ground, it's a real nice old ground, if you like, the old-fashioned stadium that people love coming here, if you like. But yeah, I mean, going back to what you mentioned there, I've managed to get a couple of the 1,000 watt units in, the only 120s from SGL. Now the difference with them are phenomenal from what we've got, just in terms of recovery. And the other one that we've looked at and managed to get in as well is the UVC machine. Don't think there's too many clubs out there that have got it at the moment. Something I'm looking to use more often. UVC, I just felt that chemicals and ingredients now have been taken off everybody, if you like, more often. So it's one of them that you try and think, right, okay, how can we make it a bit more cost effective maybe in the long run and better for the environment. So we've invested in the UVC machine and we have seen a difference just with general vigour of the plant. And since then as well, we've not had any disease knocking about. I know we've been sort of colder months, if you like, you can still sort of get your leaf spot and various other diseases knocking about, particularly with using on-soil heating and lighting units. But we just seem to have a cleaner, healthier plant with using it.
And in terms of the return on your investment, you think is it about a better surface, a better plant, or is it also giving you benefits in terms of saving costs?
I think it's a mixture of all aspects of it, if you like, because yes, you want to sort of cut costs where you can, if you like. Yes, you've got the initial outlay of it, but moving forward, there's particularly no reason, for instance, why the machine can't be moved between here and Bodymore and used at Bodymore as well to obviously be a bit cleaner and greener at the training ground as well as here at the stadium. And I just think, you know, like I mentioned, I think times are moving on, and there's nothing to say that in another few years' time we're going to be in a more difficult position where fungicides are going to be, there's not going to be many of them around, I don't think.
Well, it's becoming fewer and fewer, isn't it? So you're getting, you're certainly chemically wise, you're getting fewer tools in your armoury, so you've got to look at other things. So, you know, in summary, you're really pleased with the results of UVC lighting rigs, yeah?
But basically, the UVC machine, it's a bit of a, it's like a walking Procore machine, if you like. It's got UVC. And again, you know, you can do various speeds with it, but within sort of 2 or 3 hours, you can cover the pitch, and you know, you just see you do see a difference. You know, just a stronger plant from it.
And how often are you doing the process?
At the moment, we're trying to sort of get it on at least a couple of times a week, which, you know, trying to work around the lighting units and the games and programs and things like that is a little bit difficult. Fingers crossed, you know, we'll not today, but we'll get some sunny days soon, which will allow us to lose the lighting unit and use a free rein.
I mean, you're saying finding the time to get it done. I think I was amazed when you told me that the size of team you've got. I know you're hoping to, you know, beef that up again and improve something like 50% extra staff, which would be one extra person, won't it? Because there's only 2 of you at the moment.
Definitely. Now, you know, it is difficult, if you like. There is just the 2 of us at the moment. One of the lads decided to move on. Managed to get himself a head greenkeeper's job at a local golf course, which great for him. Really pleased that, you know, he's used here, if you like, and managed to move on. And again, a bit like myself, climb the ladder. But in the meantime, obviously, there's myself and Ian now, who, we're basically living here, which is helping with married life because we're both still married. But yeah, no, it's difficult. We are only able to do so much, if you like.
So, Karl, at the risk of maybe upsetting a few of the guys in the Premier League that might have larger teams than you, can you tell me what the secret is to actually producing, you know, kind of surfaces that you are with just 2 of you at the moment?
Hard work and dedication. And I think everyone would say that anyway, regardless of what team you are. It's one of them jobs that, particularly nowadays, you know, with COVID restrictions that are out there, and, you know, unfortunate scenario that fans are in, some of the kick-off times that we're sort of dealt with at the moment, it's nobody's fault, if you like, but they you know, they put extra pressure on. They're long days, really late nights, as everyone's fully aware, if you like. But without that sort of dedication and pride, that, you know, you do keep dragging yourself that little bit more. You know, the last thing you want to do is to be seen. You mentioned it earlier. If there's a slight blemish on the pitch somewhere, everyone's going, what's the matter with that? And that's the pressure that we're under nowadays, you know, as grounds managers within not just the Premier League, it's right across the board, if you like. You know, there's so much more scrutiny on pitches up and down. But in terms of ourselves, you know, again, Ian's great lad, always here. Whether he likes it or not, he's not got much choice at the moment. But yeah, it's one of them that, you know, you sort of keep pushing yourself. You never want it to tail off and look bad, because, you know, over the years we've been renowned as one of the top clubs.
And I think, you know, that's a nice recognition if you get the awards. Do you feel you get the appreciation of the club, your employers? Do they recognise what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. They, you know, generally they'll come out on a match day, and they'll always they'll always back you in terms of there's never been any comments here. If like, we've always been left to get on with it. Whenever a new manager's come, I've always just sort of had the conversation in terms of, would you like to change anything? And they've said no. You know, we've never had an issue coming here as an away team, so don't change anything now, move forward. And I think, you know, that's probably recognition in itself that we're doing something right. You know, that if I'd be a bit more sort of cautious if they were coming to me and saying, I think we need to change this, or, you know, we need to try and do this differently, then yeah, I think I'd be a bit more sort of concerned then, if you like.
And this season, obviously, or sorry, this, you know, past 12 months, should we call it? Because, you know, it's all kind of merged into one, hasn't it, with seasons and such a short gap. How's your pitch holding up?
Yeah, we took the decision, obviously, once the first lockdown happened, we took the decision to renovate then in Easter, to which I think there was always that uncertainty between a lot of clubs, if you like, do we, don't we? Are we going to get enough time during the summer between the end of the old season and the new season? But we were always of the understanding we were going to get at least enough of a time before Project Restart came about to be able to be back up and running, if you like. So we took the decision then to renovate. Glad I did. Took a bit of a extra pressure off, if you like, because there was enough of pressure on the pitch at that time, which you know, thankfully turned out well for ourselves. But you know, the pitch again, staffing levels haven't helped, if you like. But yeah, you know, it's holding up well. It plays really well, and again, you get your sort of positive comments from away teams as well. So
that would be a slightly earlier renovation than normal, wouldn't it? Do you think that's had any impact?
Yeah, I think we're probably just seeing now the effects of it, just in terms of like a little organic build-up, just on the top of the surface, if you like, which, you know, hopefully given the fact that, you know, we sort of should be coming into some decent weather in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to just get in there and just scratch that out, and, you know, it'll see us through then till probably middle of June when we'll be renovating as we normally would, if you like.
Okay, so you annually renovate, do you?
Yes, yeah. We generally, by the middle of June, we're always sort of renovated, depending on corporate events, whether that be a concert or just general sort of corporate games that, you know, local companies come in and have themselves a day out here. But yeah, we always sort of two passes with the Coro, if you like. Go across there with the scratching unit. That's just determined on how much material you want to take out. But you feel you don't need 2, maybe 3 passes, or even more, maybe. This time round will be our 3rd renovation on the new surface. And I think, you know, this time we'll probably go with straight sand, if you like, just to help break up that top layer, and then, you know, work it in, get it vertically drained, probably down 5-6 inch, so long as we don't hit the undersoil heating pipes. That's the main thing. And then moving forward, obviously, you know, get the seed in the ground and get the hands together and pray for the weather, and away you go again.
So you've been through a reconstruction, which I guess is something that most groundsmen want to do on their pitch at some point, put their own pitch in. What other ambitions have you got personally, whether that's with Villa or, you know, what do you see yourself doing in the future?
Doing in the future, I've got to be honest, I'd find it really hard to see myself away from here. You know, I'm 20 years here is a long time, and you have that sort of affiliation with the club. You know, I've seen a lot of owners and a lot of managers, and you know, I'd like to think that, you know, given the age of myself, I'd like to think, you know, I could be here for a few more years and you know, build it and, you know, progress the club in terms of, like I said, like I mentioned, you know, being a bit greener and looking at, you know, sort of building it up, and whether that be in a position that we can host more concerts here moving forward, or, you know, other sort of corporate events, because, you know, we're in the Midlands at the end of the day. There's a catchment area around here, and I see no reason why we couldn't do that moving forward.
With a small team like yours, you must constantly look at, you know, streamlining and maybe automated systems and machinery. Is there anything, you know, that you've got in terms of an opinion about how important that's going to be, perhaps for you in the future?
The problem is with our industry, it's a lot of hands-on work, isn't it? And, you know, you look at sort of one of the most important jobs that many would say in our job is divoting, if you like, to which there's nothing else out there other than a pair of hands that can do that job. There's other, obviously, machines and things that, you know, you can use, if you like. I mean, you know, some of the local clubs, for instance, they use some robots now that help them keeping the grass down, for instance. And I think for the lower league clubs, something like that is probably, you know, really good, if you like, and helps them out. Particularly, you know, they've got no costs up there, they've got no income or anything, and you sort of think to yourself, well, you've got the old guy that generally goes down there and has a look at it. Now, I know as an industry, there's more and more happening now in terms of trying to educate people within that sort of lower league spectrum, if you like. And I think that, you know, that needs to carry on, because it's not just the old cliche of it's just cutting a piece of grass. It's not, and the science behind it now is bigger, and it is a complete science. It's not just grass.
The job has evolved, yeah? It's not just about cut the grass and sometimes you might have to water it, yeah? There's a lot more to it now, isn't there, Karl?
Yeah, definitely. And that's right across the whole spectrum, if you like, in terms of Premier League is at a different level, if you like, because there's the scrutiny that's on everybody. You go down the lower leagues, and again, you just mentioned it's not just cutting a piece of grass. There's a whole science behind it. Now, there's guys that are looking after that piece of grass that they need educating themselves as to why does it need that feed going on? Why does it need to be sprayed? Why are we renovating it? You know, that there's that whole sort of balance between just rolling. It's not just rolling it anymore. You know, everyone sort of looks at it and thinks, oh, it's striped, it's green, it's grey. It might look grey, but there's a reason why it would look grey. Now, whether that is the feed that's gone on there, it's the TLC guys have given it. You know, and I think that does need to carry on within our industry in terms of educating people and getting the youngsters through as well. I think is paramount for the industry to be able to carry on as where we are heading, because look at how it's evolved in the last 10 to 15 years, if you like. Where will we be in another 10 to 15 years is anybody's guess.
I think, you know, the GMA are obviously, you know, doing quite a bit to promote all of that through various methodologies, whether that's with sports associations or their recent, you know, Grounds Week promotion. Did you see any of that? Do you have an opinion on it, Karl?
Yeah, I did. I did see it, and I think it's really good that it's obviously put out there, and it's raising the profile of the industry itself. Um, Fortunately, I wasn't able to sort of really get involved with it, but there's many high-profile people out there that have got involved with it and give it the push that it deserves and it needs. Like I mentioned, lower league clubs need a big shout, I think, in terms of what they've managed to do. Very little, but no income at all, if you like, during the whole pandemic, and yet they're being asked to constantly produce pitches, and it's the easiest thing to blame. It wouldn't be showers of cold or something else. There's no grass in the garment. It's bobbled here and it's bobbled there, but we can't be seen as an industry to have a go at people when all they're trying to do is the best.
And some of them have got, even smaller teams than you, I would guess.
Yeah, definitely.
After that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, personally, I think it's quite remarkable what you're doing there with, through the last 12 months or so, just the two of you. Looking forward, when we come out of this situation, industry events come back. Will you be attending and getting out there and trying to find out what's going on?
I think everyone will. It'll give everyone that sort of chance just to get out, see a few friendly faces again. We can all speak on the phone, as generally most of us do. But I think having that sort of face-to-face interaction with people is a big thing. You're able to sort of have a better conversation. Like I say, you've got that interaction. You might think of something and you can ask the question there, and whether it be about products or moving forward, or just being able to get out and see the grounds that you might be thinking to yourself. I mean, we've done it here on numerous occasions. If you walk out onto the surface in the morning and you think to yourself, it's not looking the best. Then you sort of think to yourself, well, okay, there's only so much these pair of hands can do. But it would be nice to go and see other scenarios, if you like, which generally you were able to do that. So you've got something, to sort of work against. Where now it's them same four walls every day and that same piece of grass that you're constantly looking at.
So even though you're outside, you're still feeling a little bit hemmed in.
yeah, you're like. But I think everyone will be in the same boat. They want to get out there and be able to see, maybe the effects of maybe someone fertiliser, different grass seed, different environments bring their own different challenges, don't they?
Absolutely.
And I think that that's a big thing that a lot of us grounds managers, if you like, sort of, we understand our own environment, but trying to understand the whole environment for everyone else as well.
Karl, I'm aware you're kind of pressed for time there. Obviously, we're just the two of you, and we really do thank you for taking an hour or so out to have a chat with us. Fascinating talking to you, and hats off to you for the job you're doing there. And I personally look forward to catching up with you in the very near future and sharing a beer or something.
Lovely, that would be great.
All right, Karl. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.